get into the session?
I think sing Jai Radha Madhava.
I can sing Jai Radha Madhav, Prabhuji.
Yes, please, Mataji. Yeah.
Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mataji. Okay, devotees, let me share my screen. Okay, devotees, can one of you recite the invocation prayers?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can.
Yes, Mataji.
Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Chalakshya Chakshuran Unmiletam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Krupa Sindhobhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Indira Mataji. So, devotees, let's get on to where we left off yesterday. Devotees, over the past few days, we have been discussing about the creation and annihilation relative to Lord Brahma's age, right? Like, a day of Brahma and the night of Brahma, what would happen during the day of Brahma, what would happen? How does this material creation manifest itself and unmanifest or get annihilated? Over the past few verses, we've been kind of discussing, Krishna is kind of explaining about all these things in the past few verses. So, as Sridhama Prabhu mentioned, I think this verse, from this verse onwards, Krishna starts explaining about the opposite of the material creation. So, we'll go through the verse, reciting the verse, like we always do, and then can we have like maybe 2 or 3 devotees volunteer to read the verse? And then after that, we can go through the synonyms and translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I can try, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, devotees. Then all goes to Sri Prabhupada and Gurudev. Text number 20. परस्तस्मात् भावन्यो व्यक्तो अव्यक्तात् सनातनः यः सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्स्यो न विनश्यति. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Can I try, Prabhuji? Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. परस्तस्मातु भावोऽन्यो व्यक्तोऽन्य व्यक्तान्त सनातनः य सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mahesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Can one of our Matajis recite?
I can try Prabhuji.
Yes, Shalini Mataji.
परस्तस्मात्तु भावेन्यो व्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यः स सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. Can one of the devotee read through the synonyms as well as the translation, please?
Sure, Prabhuji. Can I?
Yes, Mataji.
Para, transcendental, tasmat, to that, to, but, bhava, nature, anya, another, avyakta, unmanifest, avyaktat, to the unmanifest, sanatana, eternal, yasa, that which, sarvesu, all, bhutesu, manifestation, nasyatsu, being annihilated, na, never, vinasyati, is annihilated. Translation by Prabhupada. Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. In fact, Mataji, if you can also read the purport, it's a very short purport. I think can kind of finish.
Sure,
the-
Prabhuji. Krishna's superior spiritual energy is transcendental and eternal. It is beyond all the changes of material nature, which is manifest and annihilated during the days and nights of Brahma. Krishna's superior energy is completely opposite in equality to material nature. Superior and inferior nature are explained in the 7th chapter. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So, devotees, I think in this verse, Krishna is kind of starting to talk about the other side, which is the real side, the spiritual world. So up until now, he elaborately discussed about the material world or the material energy. And now from this verse onwards, he starts discussing or describing about the spiritual abode. So I think in the previous verses or in the previous chapters, I think by now we already have some kind of an understanding of what the material energies are, what this material world is all about. And then we also have a glimpse of what the spiritual energy is and, about the spiritual world. So Krishna is trying to he's trying to distinguish between these two worlds, and these two different energies of him, which is the material energy and spiritual energy. I think over the past couple of days, I think we discussed a lot about the material energy, how the creation happens during the daytime of Brahma, how all these various souls take this human body or any other body, as a matter of fact, in this material creation. And at the nighttime of Brahma, how the annihilation happens. And, all these souls, they all kind of go in a dormant state within the body of Vishnu, right? That's what we discussed. So again, when it comes to the spiritual world, the Lord is clearly telling, and I think one thing to understand in this context is about the energies of the Lord. we know that everything is his energy that exists. We know about the spiritual energy, which he's referring in this verse, and then we also know about the material energy, which is the source for this material creation, the material world. And there's also this marginal energy, which we have discussed in the previous chapters. And we, the living entities, fall into that marginal energy because we have the spirit soul. We are a spirit soul, and also we are born in this material creation. So we kind of fall into both the energies, right? Like we have both the spiritual energy as well as the material energy. We are a combination of that. So that's why we are called as marginal energies. And, I think one thing, it's also called as Tatastha Shakti. I mean, there is, I think Antaranga Shakti, like from a Sanskrit terminology perspective, if you encounter the word Antaranga Shakti, it's the spiritual energy of the Lord. And then the Bahiranga Shakti is the material energy of the Lord, and Tatastha Shakti is the marginal energy of the Lord, which kind of resembles all the living entities that are existing in this material realm. So Krishna has given us this choice that since we are in the marginal energy, we have the potential to get absorbed into and take advantage of Krishna's spiritual energy and get back into the spiritual world. Or on the other side, take we can kind of get attached to the things of this material world, and then remain in this material world. And so we are kind of marginal in the sense that it's not just the way how we exist or where we exist or how we are created, but it's more about what energies do we want to take advantage of, right? So those who are having a Krishna conscious lifestyle or a God-centered life, they are trying to take the the strength of the spiritual energy of the Lord and progressing towards the spiritual realm, whereas those who are ignorant towards the spiritual life will eventually get entangled with the material nature of this world, and then eventually continue to go through this process of manifestation, unmanifestation, coming to existence, and then going through the annihilation. So whatever was described, that the material world will experience during the day of Brahma and the night of Brahma, and eventually the like once Brahma leaves this body, like the total annihilation happens. So these are some things that we have discussed, and also I think in the seventh chapter, also verse number 4 and verse number 5 and verse number 4, Krishna was explaining about what this material energy constitute. He was talking about the earth, fire, water, air, and ether, along with the mind, intelligence, and false ego. He was explaining about what constitutes the material energy, and in the verse 5, he was explaining about how the superior energy takes advantage of the inferior energy. Like for example, we are taking advantage of this material energy, uh, and then we are kind of trying to fulfill our desires. So we'll go to the next verse, devotees, and let's learn a little more about what Krishna is explaining about the spiritual world. But before going there, I'd like to get some feedback, if at all, if any of our devotees have something to share about this verse.
Can I speak a little bit, Prabhuji?
Yes, please, Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely, this is like a very nice and a very informative verse. We are here, the Prabhupada has explained it. Yeah, and I just want to correlate this with actual science also. the modern science says or talks about like black holes, which is basically nothing can escape from that black hole. Even the light can't escape from the gravity of that black holes. And in Marathi, we call that as a Krishna Vivar, or the Krishna means the black color. That is the like the word for that, and Vivar means the whole. Yeah. So, so once somebody falls in the Krishna's superior energy, there is no way means he can come or fall down from that one. And also, what we see that like everything, like the material world is the light or whatever is happening nearby those black holes. They go once in that hole, the black hole, nothing escapes. Yeah. So probably I just want to correlate that one with what is seen, what is stated here. Yeah. And once I think miss the at the end of Brahma's day, I'm thinking like the similar phenomena must be happening, and the all material world will go back to the Krishna's superior energy. Yeah, that is what I'm thinking from the science point of view, or the modern science point of view. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a really good example, Prabhu, to kind of really understand
yeah,
this particular aspect. Um, when I was young, I was very fascinated about the
mhm,
space science.
yeah,
My cousin used to work in NASA,
yeah,
and I mean, he was with NASA for almost like 20-25 years, and then later on he moved over to Google and all. But
yeah,
um, and he used to give me these books. There are a lot of books like Stephen Hawking's,
yeah,
Theory of Black Hole, and I used to read all these things, and I used to be really fascinated. Like, how did scientists really be able to identify such things that are existing in this material creation? And I was very fascinated to read about this concept of black hole, and you know I mean, especially now the modern day science has evolved so much, that we
yeah,
have, like, after the Hubble's telescope has came in, we are seeing a lot more. We are kind of exploring the uncharted territories in the science, especially in the space science, which were previously not explored.
yeah,
And you are very right, Prabhu, that as we learn more about science, you will actually start appreciating more about what's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, because
yeah,
it's kind of really like all the scientists are, for me, in a way, that all the scientists are trying to work hard to show to the real world that the real examples of what Krishna is explaining in these verses. So, thanks a lot for quoting that example, Prabhu.
yeah,
Um, and devotees, a couple of more points in here, right? So Krishna is saying that the spiritual abode, his spiritual energy is transcendental and eternal, right? Whereas it's kind of opposite to what the qualities of this material world are. I think in verse 8:15, Krishna speaks about I think the qualities of this material existence, and he refers the word dukkhalayam ashashvatam, which is, this material world is temporary and full of misery. And in this translation, Krishna is clearly explaining that, or in this purport, Prabhupada is clearly explaining that the spiritual world is exactly opposite to that of the material world. It is permanent, as Prabhuji has mentioned. Once you get into the spiritual abode, once you connect with the spiritual or the higher energy of the Lord, once you go back to the spiritual abode, there's no coming back again. And then the fact that it is eternal, like the spiritual, unlike the material world, which goes through this process of creation or manifestation and annihilation, the spiritual world is existing from time immemorial. So So those are some of the basic, differences between the spiritual and the material world. And also, we heard about the Sat Chit and Ananda, right? Like these are the qualities of the spirit soul. And those also are reflected in the spiritual world. So it's a place where there is it's full of knowledge, like the Chit. The place is full of eternity, Sat, and then it's a full of bliss. So unlike the sufferings that you see in this material existence, in the material world, there are no such sufferings. And Krishna is explaining all those things in these verses. Devotees, if nobody has any additional points, let's go to the next verse number 21. Okay. So I think this has something for us. So to read from the purport, may I have like maybe one or two devotees recite the verse, please?
Can try to repeat it.
Yes, Mataji.
अव्यक्तोऽक्षर अत्यक्तस्त माहुः परमां गतिम् यं प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तदा तद्धाम परम मम. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. Devotees, anybody would like to recite?
I can
Yeah.
go, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
अवयुक्ताक्षर इति युक्तस्तम् अहं परमं गतिं यं प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम.
Thank you, Mataji. Can one of the devotee read the synonym and the translation, please?
Yeah, I can. I can read.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Avyaktaha, unmanifested. Akshara, infallible. Iti, thus. Yukta is said. Tam, that. No, tam, that. Ahu is known. Paramam, ultimate. Gatim, destination. Yam, which. Prapya, gaining. Na, never. Nivartante, come back. Tat, that. Dhamma, abode. Paramam, supreme. Mama, my. Translation by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. That which the Vedantas describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns. That is my supreme abode.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So, devotees, as you may see in this verse, Krishna is trying to describe about the spiritual world, and he clearly says that is my abode. So now he's like really saying Tad Dhamma Paramam Mama. So that abode is my abode. So is kind of explaining clearly the nature of this the spiritual world. And he's actually assuring in this verse that once you reach, you will never return back. I think in the past few, I mean, unfortunately, I haven't been attending every day, but I think in the past few days, there were some discussions about, once we go back to the spiritual world, do we ever come back again, and all. So here it's it kind of clears the doubt that one may have, that what if I do everything and goes back to the spiritual world, will I ever fall back again? So in here Krishna is clearly saying that once you have attained it, you will never return. And devotees, let's go through the purport, and I'm sure we would have a lot more to talk about and discuss. Can we have one of our devotees read through the verse, the purport, please?
Sure, Prabhuji. I can read.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The supreme abode of personality of Godhead, Krishna, is described in the Brahma Samhita as Chintamanidhama, a place where all desires are fulfilled. The supreme abode of Lord Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavana, is full of places made of touchstone. There are also trees called desire trees that supply any type of eatable upon demand. And there are cows, known as Surabhi cows, which supply a limitless supply of milk. In this abode, the Lord is served by hundreds and hundreds of thousands of goddess of fortune, Lakshmis. And he is called Govinda, the primeval Lord, and cause of all causes. The Lord is accustomed to blow his flute, Venum Quanantam. His transcendental form is the most attractive in all the worlds. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like the color of the clouds. He is so attractive that his beauty excels that of a thousands of cupids. He wears saffron cloth, a garland around his neck, and a peacock feather in his hair. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives only a small hint of his personal abode, Goloka Vrindavana, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual world. A vivid description of the Brahma Samhita, Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad 1.3.11 state that there is nothing superior to the abode of Supreme Godhead, and that the abode is the ultimate destination. Purusanna param kinchit sa kashta paramagati. When one attains to it, he never returns to the material world. Krishna's supreme abode and Krishna himself are non-different, being of the same quality. On this earth, Vrindavana, 90 miles southeast of Delhi, is a replica of the supreme Goloka Vrindavana, located in the spiritual sky. When Krishna descended on this earth, he sported on this particular tract of the land known as Vrindavana, comprising of about 168 square miles in the district of Madurai in India. Thank you, Prabhuji. It's wonderful.
Touch.
Yes, Prabhuji, wonderful verse. We can see that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, he is, as we can see in Brahma Samhita, beautiful shloka is there. Here it is mentioned about that Chintamani Dhamma. So, how, hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis are ready to serve the Lord. Chintamani prakarasatmashakalpa vraksha lakshavruteshu surabhirabhipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra satasambrama sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So where we can see that, the Lord Govinda is being worshipped by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis. Of course, for Krishna, it is nothing, So that's why, some people just to try to do Lakshmi Puja, but if there is, if they do only Lakshmi Puja, Lakshmi is going to stay there because she is there wherever Lord Vishnu is worshipped. So back to this thing, Prabhuji. So as we can see here wonderfully how it is explained about the Chintamani Dhama, the Goloka Vrindavana, and it is wonderfully explained how the Lord is accustomed, how the Lord is attractive. Of course, he has all the opulences, right? He has wealth, fame, but he is always in the service of his devotees, and the devotees are always in the service of the Lord. So we can see how beautiful that Vrindavana, Goloka Vrindavana is there in the Shama Sundara form. Everyone is attracted. So we can see that how one goes to that Dhamma, then they will never come back. So such a wonderful, here, Prabhuji. And also yesterday we, discussed about how, this material world is measurable and temporary. So going to that Chintamani Dhamma, and getting rid of this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi is, very, very important. And Prabhuji, Sri Rama Prabhuji explained how the importance of how the yuga cycle works, how the kalpa works, all these things. But here now we can see that the eternal world in the Chintamani Dhamma is free from birth and death. There is no birth and death, and there is no disease. All those things. It is infallible, right? Because Krishna's superior energy, and everything what we see in the a spiritual world is opposite in this material world. In spiritual world it is like, the service is the ultimate, but here whenever if they are doing, even, in some cases we see if somebody is serving, they see them as lower class. Everything is opposite, because it is a mirrored kind of a thing. And also unlimited bliss over there, because over there are kalpa vriksha trees, and you name it, you get it, because there is no envy, there's no greed, there is nothing like that. And unlimited milk, as we can see, there are surabhi cows over there. They can give unlimited milk, and there are kalpa vriksha trees. And of course this devotees don't actually care about liberation. Wherever they want to be in the service of Krishna, and liberation is just a byproduct. We can easily, get liberation just by serving the Lord. And Prabhuji here explained how in Brahma Samhita, Katha Upanishad, in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charita, everywhere, whatever we see, all the scriptures are talking about the same thing: how to love the Lord. I think that's my understanding, Prabhuji. Please correct Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Subal Prabhu. You have kind of touched upon all the key points of this purport as well as the verse. Um, let me see. I think I saw Baswati Mataji's here. So while she is here, if I may request Mataji, that in this, of course, in this verse, as it's clearly mentioned, Krishna is just giving a little bit of glimpse of what the spiritual world looks like in this in the verse itself. He's saying it's a place where there is, it's described as unmanifested, infallible, and it's permanent, and it's transcendental. That's what he's talking about. But in, more than Krishna, Lord Brahma is actually explaining what he has seen when he opened his eyes. And so and when what he narrated, whatever Lord Brahma has seen at the time of his birth, he has explained it in Brahma Samhita. And I know Baswati Mataji is going to do an amazing recitation of Brahma Samhita for the upcoming Janmashtami, on the occasion of our Janmashtami. So Mataji, can you please recite the verse 29 and 30 of Brahma Samhita? And we can also kind of go through this verse, because Krishna is talking about every small things, is kind of starting to describe the qualities and things related to the spiritual world. Sorry, Brahma is explaining about it. So Mataji, can you
Yes,
please?
Prabhuji. Thank you, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. Sri Brahma Samhita 5.29. Chintamani prakara sadmashu kalpa vriksha लक्षावृते सुसुरवीरविपालयन्तं लक्ष्मीसहस्रशतसम्भ्रमसेव्यमानं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषा तमहं भजामि वेणुं कनन्तनरविन्ददलायतक्षम् बर्हावतं समचिदम्बुदसुन्दराङ्गम् कन्दर्पकोटिकमनीयविशेषशोभं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषा तमहं भजामि. Back to Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So, devotees, as Prabhupada explained in the purport, and as our dear Subal Prabhu also explained in the translation and purport of this verse, it's kind of Lord Brahma is explaining how the material, how the spiritual world looks like, and so maybe we can quickly go through the translation and purport, devotees, just to sink in a little more deeper into our imagination of the spiritual world, based on what Lord Brahma is explaining here.
Prabhuji, the translation, right? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. I can do translation. Yeah.
sure, Prabhu.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose streets, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshimis or Gopis. Should I do the purport too?
Yeah, please,
Yeah,
yes.
perfect. Yeah. By the word Chintamani is meant transcendental gem, just as Maya builds this mundane universe with the five material elements. So the spiritual Chit potency has built the spiritual world of transcendental gems. The Chintamani, which serves as material in the building of the abode of the Supreme Lord of Goloka, is a far rarer and more agreeable entity than the philosopher's stone. The purpose tree yields only the fruits of piety, wealth, fulfillment of desire, and liberation. But the purpose trees in the abode of Krishna bestow innumerable fruits in the shape of checkered divine love. Now, Kama Dhenus, cows yielding the fulfillment of desire, give milk when they are milked. But the Kamadhenus of Goloka pour forth oceans of milk in the shape of the fountain of love, showering transcendental bliss that does away with the hunger and thirst of all pure devotees. The words Laksha and Sahasrasata signify endless numbers. The word Sambrama or Sadra indicates being saturated with love. Here, Lakshmi denotes Gopi. Adipurusha means he who is the primeval Lord. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, devotees, as you have seen here, the very first progenitor, the one from whom everything manifested, is the Lord himself, Lord Sri Krishna. So, Lord Brahma is actually acknowledging that Krishna is the first progenitor. And so when we talk about like creators, right? So we uh, we call Brahma as the secondary creator, because the primary creator is the Lord himself, and then Brahma, uh, he, you all know, right? Like the Mahavishnu, there are so many universes evolving out of Mahavishnu, and each universe is has its own Brahma, and Lord Brahma is a secondary creator. So he's the reason behind all the souls that are getting manifested with these various bodies, and that's his charge. He creates the material world, the universe, as well as he also makes sure that the spirit souls ends up getting these bodies based on their karma that they have executed. So here Lord Brahma is acknowledging the fact that Lord Sri Krishna is a primeval Lord. He's the cause of all the causes in this verse. And as our Subal Prabhu has explained, there are different aspects of the material world that are described here. There's a discussion about the Kamadhenu cows. Um, there's a discussion about the Chintamani. There's a discussion about the Lakshmis and innumerable like Lakshmis serving the Supreme Lord. So the entire mood of the spiritual world is completely different, and people are always blissful. So imagine in this material world, even for let's say a day or 2 or 3 days, we are we are completely experiencing joy and happiness and bliss. Like, imagine how wonderful it would be when we go back to the spiritual world with all these amazing things around us. And more importantly, we are not driven by material desires, but we are driven primarily by our spiritual desire to serve the Lord and his devotees. So the whole, I mean, it's so amazing to even understand and be able to fathom that how beautiful the spiritual world is that Lord Brahma is explaining. And in this particular verse, he's explaining about how Krishna is. He's describing in the spiritual world how Krishna is. He's playing the flute. His eyes are like lotus petals, and he has that beautiful peacock feather. And his bodily complexion is like hue of bluish clouds. And so these are some of the descriptions of Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita verses. So we'll just go back to this. Does any of our devotee have any question? Maybe we can cover one more verse as well, if time permits.
Prabhuji, yeah, I just want to explain or just want to share my thoughts on this one. Is like in the Krishna's word or the spiritual word of Krishna's consciousness here. I think we don't have to worry about, or as a devotee, we don't have to worry about our materialistic desires, because everything will be provided by Lord Sri Krishna in the spiritual world. So basically, we have to just focus on our devotion or the bhakti to the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, and just not to worry about any of the materialistic desires or the materialistic the demands, I will say here. Because everything will be done by Lord Sri Krishna, or the with the faith of Lord Sri Krishna. Yeah, that is my understanding. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. You're very right. Devotees, I'm sure, I think each one of us, I think the goal in this material world is, I think all of us are hankering for happiness, right? And not just us, like pretty much all the souls, they are hankering for happiness. They're searching for something that gives them happiness. Like, even as a matter of fact, like everyone out there are people who are going and trying to find their real happiness. Some of them find the happiness by going and drinking all alcoholic food. Some of them find their happiness by going and satisfying their palates by eating uh, different types of foods. The foods in various categories, the tamasic food and all. So again, the bottom line is everybody in the material world is trying to find uh, the source of happiness, but naturally they would never ever get uh, to fulfill, or they will never really get connect to that source of happiness, because they are searching for it in a wrong place, right? So being a spirit soul, the only way we get that fulfillment is by connecting ourselves to the Supreme Lord. And time and again, I think pretty much every single verse that we have discussed, the point that has been reiterated is the fact that how do we transform our material life into a Krishna conscious life? And we have time and again discussed about the importance of chanting the holy names of the Lord, especially in this age of Kali Yuga. and following the regulatory principles, trying whatever we can with our capacity, within our limited capacity, trying to do devotional service, be it assisting devotees, be it serving them through any kind of means, and that thereby rendering our devotional service to the Lord. And or we talked about earning pious credits, right? Like I think in the previous verses, people even back in the olden days too, they used to do all these good karma, and the desire was to go to the heaven, right? The so-called heaven, which is still part of this material realm. And once all their pious credits get expired, they again fall back to this material world. So what we are truly aspiring for is not a progression into the higher planets within this material realm. What we are really aspiring for, or we have to aspire for, is to progression into the spiritual realm. So thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for touching on those points. Krishna is trying to give a glimpse of it. And may we all, with Krishna's mercy, one day have a real physical experience of all the things that we are learning today in this verse. So devotees, again, one other point I wanted to mention, that there's in one of the lectures, I heard that, unfortunately, until now, I haven't visited Vrindavan. I've been to Mathura a few times, but I couldn't go to Vrindavan. And I really pray to the Lord that one day I get a chance to go visit the Vrindavan here in this material world. Um, so here Prabhupada is also mentioning that the Vrindavan, which is 90 miles away from Delhi, is kind of a replica of the Goloka Vrindavana, which is part of the spiritual sky or the spiritual world. And you know, a, a lot of times people think, and in fact, when I was listening to the lecture, somebody asked this Prabhu that, in the context of this particular verse, Krishna is saying that the Goloka Vrindavan has this quality, that quality, it's full of this and full of that. But when we see the Vrindavan, which is, next to Delhi, it doesn't really look the way it is. They say like, oh, there's a lot of dirt here and things like that. It doesn't really explain, it doesn't really fall in sync with what Krishna is explaining about the spiritual world. And to that, the response from that Prabhuji was that, we are always in this material world, we are looking through a material lens. And so therefore we are seeing things which are uh, which are in the material sense. But if you have a spiritual lens, then or a divine lens, you would probably experience Vrindavan completely differently than what a normal person would. And so that's why it's always recommended that whenever you visit any holy places, and especially a place like Vrindavan, it's always important to accompany with a devotee, so that the vision in which you experience that place is not like through your material lens, but rather through a spiritual lens. So yeah, I just wanted to share that point. So devotees, anybody would like to share any things? I think we are 8:51. I also have a short video that I wanted to share if time permits, but before that, let's see if the next verse, if it's too big or is something that we can finish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
next one is big one, Prabhuji.
yeah, so then maybe we'll reserve that for tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow is guys. Shubhalas Prabhu will be leading this.
Oh, wonderful. So yeah, any other devotees want to add anything? It need not be related to the exact translations or exact purpose, but it could be in general, like in the context of these past few verses. If you have anything that you want to share or any questions that you may have, you can please feel free to discuss. Let me see. No,
Yeah, so Prabhuji, I have one question about Brahma Samhita and Bhagavad Gita. So, like, how because it is explaining this, like, both looks like to me is giving the same explanations, right? So, are they related, or they are how they are related and how they are different? Yeah, could you
yeah.
please explain? Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a good question, Prabhu. So Bhagavad Gita, obviously it's Lord Krishna has spoken it to Arjuna in a different context. It's in a different setting, and Krishna is kind of explaining in these verses about different aspects of, right? Like he's talking about different yoga systems, this material creation, who we are, the various energies, and that's like he's just giving a glimpse of everything. Brahma Samhita is recited by Lord Brahma when Lord Brahma took, he was born out of the navel of Lord Vishnu. He gets so perplexed when he, goes through that navel, like, that lotus stem, and then whatever he sees, like the very first thing that hears, he gets the knowledge through the sound vibration. The Lord himself bestows upon Lord Brahma the knowledge through the sound vibration. And Lord Brahma is actually explaining us what all he has seen. So that Brahma Samhita is explaining, it's an explanation given by Lord Brahma
Yeah.
about what he has seen. And he's talking about who the Supreme Lord is, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So he's reciting various verses describing how Lord Krishna appears in his spiritual abode. And so, in this particular context, those two verses that we just, that Baswati Mataji so beautifully recited, there, one is, it's describing about the spiritual world itself. That Lord Brahma acquired that knowledge of how the spiritual world looks like. And then he's also sharing to all of us about the features of Lord Krishna, how he appears and what complexion he is, what kind of dress does he wear, how does he look like, kind of. So those descriptions are given by Lord Brahma in Brahma Samhita. And devotees, does anybody want to add anything additional about the Brahma Samhita? You can feel free to add to that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. You very nicely explained, Prabhuji, about Brahma's description about Lord Krishna and his abode. So beautiful. And as you mentioned about that in material eye, we cannot see this unmanifested form of Krishna Loka, but the pure devotee can see with their that their eye, which is has devotional trends, and it's described in Brahma Samhita 5.38 that Premanjana Churito Bhakti Bilochanena, that sloka where Lord Brahma says about, it's in 538, where Lord Brahma says that only pure devotee can see this, the beautiful Krishna's Samsundara form with their devotional eyes. So it's 538. Very beautiful verse. Yeah, this one. This one. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Bilochanena. Here, like, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shamsundara Krishna himself with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion, tinged with the self of love. Only pure devotee can see that. They have that spiritual eye. Through that, they can see that Shamsundara form, Krishna in their heart.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you very much for quoting this verse, Mataji. So devotees, I think we have been acquiring knowledge, especially these, beautiful purports from Prabhupada. The best thing that Prabhupada has given us is that even though the translation, like if somebody would have read the translation of this verse that we just read, 821, you would probably get that very minimal explanation that Krishna is giving about the spiritual world. The beauty of Prabhupada's purports is that Prabhupada knows, how to connect the dots. I mean, where to bring in he tries to fit into the right context. So in this purport, he's kind of elaborating about the spiritual world, how it looks like. So by accurately pointing out the verses from Brahma Samhita. So maybe if you would have read some other text or some other book, you probably wouldn't have read through this purport at all, and we wouldn't have gone through the reference of Brahma Samhita. So that's the beauty of Prabhupada's purports. They're so easy. I mean, Prabhupada has given this in such a way that it's very easy to understand the context in which Lord Krishna is speaking these verses, and also more importantly, what is that take-home message that we all can take from each and every verse. So that's how clean and neat that he has made for all of us. So that's why it's always recommended, and to kind of hand off the gift of Bhagavad Gita as it is to your near and dear friends. I want to also, there's something that I think I got something here. There's some basic, I was going through some examples of images that I can get. So if you see here, like this is a clear description or a differentiation between a material world and spiritual world. The spiritual world, it's Krishna. It's clearly explained that, as Prabhu, I think Mahesh Prabhu was explaining, right? We don't have to care for our material needs anymore. Like when you're in the spiritual world, everything is catered by the Lord Himself. You don't really have to work. You don't really have to work hard to meet your day-to-day needs. Everything is already satisfied by the Lord. And so you'll still work, you'll have your own role in the spiritual world to fulfill, but the everyone's desire is on the, pretty much everybody's on the same ground, or in the common page, I would rather call, where the intention and the goal is to satisfy and please the Lord and the devotees. So I think we touched upon this point, right? This material world is full of chaos, anxiety, and distress, whereas in the spiritual world, it's full of bliss, knowledge, and peace. So um, there's one video I mean, I don't know if we have enough time, but I just want to share this. It's a 5-minute video. Um, I don't know if I can share. Let me share with the sound. Okay, share sound. His Grace Chaitanya Charan
Hare
is
Krishna.
explaining about the spirit.
Hare Krishna. The spiritual world exists not just at a different location but at a different level. When we think of the spiritual world, we often envision it in terms that we see depicted in books. But these books presently are manifest to us, to our senses, in three-dimensional space. And therefore we may see them that the spiritual world and the material world are next to each other, and we may think that it's simply geographical proximity or geographical neighborhood, just like say China on the world map exists above India, or Canada exists above America. So like that we may think, okay, the spiritual world exists above the material world. However, the depiction of a spiritual reality at a material level in a map that is seen with our material eyes, that involves a huge amount of oversimplification. That means that actually this we just can't show the material world and spiritual world in neighborhood, because they are not existing at the same level of reality. They are at two different levels entirely. So now what does it mean that there are two different levels? Just as when we have to compare We have to compare two similar objects. We may compare one apple with another apple, and we may say, oh, this is sweeter, this is not so sweet. Or we may compare two fruits, we may compare apple and mangoes and say mangoes are sweeter. But if you are going to compare apples and say gold, now how are you going to compare? We don't eat gold. Now we compare, we have to have some common denominator for comparison, and say the common denominator could be that money. Oh, gold is much more valuable than apple, or gold is more valuable than mangoes, whatever. So the point is, there has to be some common denominator by which some comparison can take place, or some kind of interrelationship can be established. So just for the sake of depiction, we have that common denominator that this is here and this is here. But the reality is actually much deeper, and the spiritual level is beyond the material entirely. And in that sense, it's not just in a different location, it's at a different level of reality. In 8.20 in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states, Parastasmat tu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yahasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. Krishna says, Parastasmat tu bhavonyo. There is another reality which exists beyond this reality, and that reality continues to exist even when the material world, some part of the material world exists or the material world is destroyed. So it exists at a different level of reality, and that implies that when the spiritual world exists thus at a higher level, actually it is not affected by anything material. And that because it's a level of consciousness. Yes, there is a place, spiritual world, which we go to, but it's not just simply geographical traveling to attain the spiritual world. Actually, our consciousness has to travel, our consciousness has to get elevated, and only when such elevation happens, then we will attain the spiritual world. And that's why later in 12.8 in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states that Mayyeva mana dhatsva may buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva ata urdhvam na samshayah. He says, if our mind and intelligence are fixed in Him, then we already live in Him. Then actually we don't exist in the material world, we are already existing in the spiritual world. That is the conception of Jivan Mukti. Those souls who are absorbed in Krishna, they may be in the material world, but they are no longer in the material world. They are already in Krishna. It's as good as they are in the spiritual world. It is, they may be functioning in the material world right now, but as soon as their body's lifespan ends, they'll be transported to the spiritual world. Their heart, their soul is already absorbed in Krishna in the spiritual world. So sometimes we may feel the spiritual world is so far away, how will I attain it? But instead of thinking of how far it is in terms of distance, we can think how the essence of the spiritual world, Krishna, is so close to us in our heart. And if we can connect with Him, if we can absorb ourselves in Him, then we can be living in His presence, and thus we can practically be living in the spiritual world even now. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, devotees. Yeah, I just wanted to end that video. I was kind of reading, listening to Prabhuji. I like the way how he has explained. So I just thought to make sure, I wanted to share it with all of you. But devotees, I'm sorry, I just noticed that we crossed 6 minutes on today's class. I thank each one of you for your precious time. I think most of you have been very regular in terms of attending the Bhagavad Gita sessions. And in fact, unfortunately, I'm not being able to attend every day because of other commitments. But I really thank and bow down to each one of you. You've shown such a great exemplary, like you've been pretty exemplary in terms of your commitment to spiritual life. So I seek all your blessings so that I can also progress through in my spiritual journey. And if no one has any questions, we can conclude today's session. Devotees.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nicely
Thank you,
explained.
Prabhuji.
Very nice class, Prabhuji.
Very
Thank
nice.
Thank you, Kartik Prabhuji. Thank you, Kartik Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Danda
Let's all
Pranam.
say 3 times loudly Hari Bol to Kartik Prabhu.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari
Hari Bol.
Kartik
Kripo Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. All glories to all the assembled devotees. Thank you very much, devotees. Hare Krishna. Wish you all.
Kartik Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Jai.
Hare Krishna devotees. Pranam.